Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. We are talking all about transfer rumours today, and specifically the ones that are currently surrounding and regarding Portuguese midfielder Renato Sanches. Sancho is being linked with a move away from the French league to the Premier League this transfer window, and here I'm going to be talking all about the potential of this deal happening. But before we go any further, I would like to remind you to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. But for now, let's get back to talking about the transfer rumours that are regarding Lyon's Renato Sanches. This is a rumour that has been picking up some momentum in recent days, and it's being said that Sanches, one way or another, is likely to move away from his current club, Lyon, this transfer window, with reported interest from the Premier League, and specifically the reported interest does come from both Liverpool and Arsenal, it seems, following the Portuguese midfielder's great performances for his national side in the European Championships. It's being said that given the financial situation at Lyon, the club are more open to be conducting business, and obviously Sanches is a big asset for them to sell and therefore is getting a lot of interest right now. But it remains to be seen if the 23-year-old will actually be leaving the club this transfer window, or even where he will go. The interest is supposedly not set in stone, it's just interest at this point. Sanches began his career at Benfica before making the huge move to German giants Bayern Munich in 2016. A year later, he joined Swansea on loan for a season before returning to Bayern, where he spent another couple of years with the Bundesliga side before joining Lyon in 2019. His time at Bayern was said to be hit with a number of issues, whether it was injuries, the language barrier, or failing to integrate properly with the rest of the Bayern squad. And with the club obviously being a huge club, it seems like the pressure was just too much to handle for his young shoulders. The Swansea loan was a major eyebrow raiser. It was a move I remember being a bit gobsmacked about. It was like it was seen as a major shock, a surprise move at the time. But of course, when you consider that the manager at the time at Swansea was Paul Clement, who had obviously worked with Sanches back in 2016 when he was the assistant manager to then Bayern manager, of course, Carlo Ancelotti, it obviously made a bit more sense as to why he would then bring him over. And of course, in Bayern's eyes, the whole idea behind the loan move was for him to go out, get some more experience, and of course get more playing time. But when he was at Swansea, he of course endured a number of big injuries that disrupted his season, and things didn't exactly play out very well for him, and he didn't exactly impress when he was actually out there on the pitch. Despite being labelled as a wonder kid, he failed to impress upon his Premier League debut, and from there on out his loan move was seen as a bit of a failure. His return to Bayern didn't get any better from there either, but a move in 2019, like I said, to French side Lyon has kind of reignited his career over the past couple of seasons, to a point where, of course, this past season, he helped Lyon to winning the French league, overcoming and overthrowing, obviously, French giants PSG. Another frustrating part of Sanches appears to be his international career. Sanches was a part of the Portuguese side, of course, which won the European Championships back in 2016. And in that performance, he did put in a good account for himself. During that whole tournament, but since then he couldn't quite replicate that form at club level, and ultimately he ended up losing his place in the Portuguese side, not being picked in the squads for either the Confederations Cup in 2017 or in 2018, where of course it was the World Cup that was held in Russia. He failed to be a part of any of them squads, but since then he has managed to regain his place in the Portuguese side, and of course at the Euros that's currently taking place right now, he was one of Portugal's standout performers before obviously they got eliminated in the knockout stages by Belgium. Usually you see players that struggle to perform for their country and not their club, but in Sanchez's case it appears to be the other way around. Sanches became known For his great technical ability on the ball, he was seen as calm and composed when in possession, not afraid to dribble and carry the ball forward, and is often seen as quite versatile in the number of midfield roles that he has accomplished in and can play, whether it's helping out defensively, being a ball carrier, or being a bit of a playmaker, whether from deep or from advanced positions. Sanches seems to have the tools and abilities to do it all, and has further potential to do any job that you ask of him in any role within the centre of the pitch. He possesses high work rate and has the ability to be an all-round midfielder. And let's face it, at the age of 23, he's still relatively young, several years away from entering his prime, and he can only continue to grow and evolve and get better, you would think. But there are question marks over whether he would be a worthy investment or not, and whether he can actually cut it at a bigger level, with all due respect, than the French league, particularly in the Premier League, where of course the big interest lies from two of the biggest Premier League sides in Liverpool and Arsenal. So would it be a worthy investment? Maybe, maybe not. First and foremost, let's look at it from looking at it on a paper point of view. It does seem like a very good signing on paper. When you take all the good qualities and good abilities that Sanches possesses, along with all the tools that he has and what he can bring to a squad, bring to the table, so to speak, along with his current ability, his potential ability, and his young age, I reckon he'd be a good fit for either club. I think for Arsenal, he has good attributes that, of course, would be a decent fit for the club. Whilst for Liverpool, they are supposedly looking for a replacement for Gini Wijnaldum. And to me, Wijnaldum and Sanches do possess very similar qualities and attributes that I think would help in making a replacement for. I think Sanches could replicate the Dutchman, given what he possesses on paper, along with being obviously a much younger option, a much younger player, and a player that I'm sure Jurgen Klopp, the Liverpool manager, wouldn't mind getting a hold of and helping to evolve and elevate his game further. But of course, transfers aren't exactly judged on paper, are they? And we will look to see how well he does on the pitch. And whilst he has seemed to be performing well for his side Lyon, and of course for his international side Portugal, I would say that you don't take his recent performances, particularly for Portugal, as too much evidence that he's an amazing player. I think he's a good player. I think he was a good player in the Euros especially, and there's no doubt about that in my opinion. And he was definitely one of Portugal's standout performances across the whole tournament. And there's definitely a player in there at some level. But there have been several names in the past that have gone to international tournaments, performed well, but for whatever reason, they have failed to live up to expectation at club level. Instantly, El Hadji Diouf springs to mind, along with the likes of Owen Hargreaves and the long-term longevity of James Rodriguez. These are just three examples to me of players who have had good international tournaments but couldn't quite make it at club level after getting big transfers to big clubs based off their international tournament success. Sanches, of course, didn't make it at Bayern initially, and of course that kind of stemmed from the 2016 European Championship tournament as well, and there's a possibility that history could repeat itself in this scenario here. Moving back over to talk about his recent performances for his club side Lyon, they've certainly improved, there's no doubt about it, but once again you have to question the standard of performance, the level of play in the French league, because it is the French league. With all due respect, it is a league that isn't exactly thriving off insane and intense amounts of competition like what the Premier League is. Yes, it is impressive that someone other than PSG managed to win the French league this season, and Sanches was of course a big part of making that happen, and it's certainly possible that maybe he has turned a corner in his career and will only continue to get better wherever he goes. But the French league does represent a huge gamble in terms of transfers and whether they can make it in other leagues or not. His performances for Lille have to be taken into account and be under consideration, and you can consider his entire career so far, even before Lille, whether it was at Bayern, where of course he was just a kid, and obviously he was a kid when he went on his loan move to Swansea, and you can make a case for why this move may work out, but to me at least, it does seem to represent a big gamble of a transfer, especially for the transfer fee that could be needed in order to sign him up. I think also you need to take into consideration his injury history. There's been a fair few muscular injuries that have kind of disrupted his career so far at his young age, mainly hamstring-wise. It's certainly something that needs to be taken into consideration. It certainly needs to be looked at. The French League may not be as strenuous or as intense or as fast-paced as the Premier League, and therefore, if this is to go past interest stage and there is actually to be something out of these potential reports, some rumours that maybe Arsenal and Liverpool, or one of the clubs, or however it may seem, or someone else from elsewhere may be interested in signing the Portuguese midfielder, it is definitely something to be judged and to be managed accordingly, should obviously interest grow and evolve past that stage. And look, there are clearly a number of pros and cons to this possible deal, but from my perspective, I see this as a big gamble of a transfer. If obviously something does come from this rumoured interest, I think he has good attributes and I think he has good ability, and I think there is a good player in there at some sort of level somewhere out there. But when you consider the injury history, the bipolar level of performances for his different clubs, the possible transfer fee that it could take to sign him, and the possible transfer fee that Lille would demand, to me, it would be an intriguing transfer. There's no doubt about it. It would be intriguing. It would be interesting to see how it unfolds and develops. But it would be one that represents a huge gamble that may or may not pay off. It's definitely 50-50 up in the air. It's one of the less transfer gambles out there, I believe. And as a Liverpool fan, whilst I believe and I trust in Jurgen Klopp and Michael Edwards and the transfer activity that they've done in the past, let's face it, the history in that area has seen more positive and good results than bad ones. Let's be real about it. But I'd still advise them to look elsewhere when it comes to possibly this deal. I wouldn't take a risk on Sanches personally, but we will have to wait and see what the future may hold in store for one Renato Sanches. But of course, as I always say, these are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of the news that Renato Sanches could be leaving Lille this summer with a potential transfer to the Premier League, with both Arsenal and Liverpool reportedly rumoured to be interested in signing the 23-year-old. Liverpool and Arsenal fans, what do you make of this potential news? Could anyone else be out there waiting in the wings to pounce on this potential transfer? I'd love to know your thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, whatever you want to call it, down below in the comment section below. I'm sure that will make for interesting reading. Otherwise, hit that like button on the way if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this. Both things are always and fun, be greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks video, and I will see you all again soon in another video.